Welcome back to my channel Nagmani. So today we are going to learn about amyloidosis. Okay, amyloidosis. Okay, so amyloidosis, it is a pathological proteinicias. It is a pathological proteinous extracellular hyaline eosinophilic substance. Okay, so amyloidosis, it is a pathological proteinous extracellular hyaline eosinophilic substance that is deposit in various types of tissue and organ. That is deposit in various type of tissue and organs. Okay, so also we can say it is misfolded. It is misfolded proteins. Okay, and for amyloidosis, best stain uses Congo red. So do remember friends, it is very important for our MCQ exam. For amyloidosis, stain uses Congo red. Then I will draw a very important chart. So by chart we can learn many types of amyloidosis, means many types of abnormal protein accumulate in our organ. So we have chart, there is disease in this amyloid, means abnormal protein accumulated in some condition where is accumulated normal protein. Then types of amyloid accumulated, means which type of amyloid is accumulated in which type of disease. So first means basically amyloid is three types: generalized and localized and familial. So first I will write here generalized. So in generalized, there is first one is primary amyloidosis. Okay, so in primary amyloidosis there is amyloid accumulated AL. Okay, then in generalized there is secondary amyloidosis. Okay, so in secondary amyloidosis there is amyloid accumulated AA. Okay, then we comes to familial. Okay, so this is generalized, and then we comes to familial. So in familial there is familial Mediterranean fever. Okay, familial Mediterranean fever. So here amyloid is AA or A pyrin. Okay, then there is familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy. So in familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy there is amyloid ATTR. So in ATTR means transthyretin. So there is accumulation of mutant transthyretin. Friends, basically there is transthyretin is normal and mutant. So in familial amyloidosis, familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy, there is accumulation of mutant transthyretin. Okay, mutant transthyretin. Okay, but there is one more disease known as senile or cardiac amyloidosis. Senile, we can say cardiac amyloidosis. So in senile or cardiac amyloidosis, there is accumulation of ATTR but normal. Means there is difference of transthyretin. Means in familial amyloidosis, familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy, there is accumulation of mutant transthyretin, but in senile cardiac amyloidosis, there is accumulation of ATT normal, not mutant. So do remember, it is important for MCQ exam. Okay, then we have, means it is familial classification. Okay, then we have chronic renal failure or long term dialysis. So there is accumulation of A beta 2M. Basically in dialysis, as we know, there is means removal of waste product. So A beta is also abnormal protein, but in dialysis, if there is long term dialysis, so there is not removal of A beta 2M. So there is accumulation of A beta 2M. Then we have localized. So here is localized. In localized, there is prion disease. So in prion disease, there is accumulation of APR amyloidosis. Then we have diabetes mellitus. So in diabetes mellitus, accumulation of AIAPP amyloid. Then medullary carcinoma of thyroid gland. Okay, so there is accumulation of ACOL. Then our last one is Alzheimer disease. So in Alzheimer disease, there is accumulation of alpha beta. So this is classification of localized. So do remember, friends, it is very important table for our INAC, TFMG and NEET PG exam. So as we know, there is three classification: generalized, localized and familial. So in generalized, there is primary and secondary amyloidosis. In primary, there is AL, and in secondary A. Then we have familial classification. So in familial, there is familial Mediterranean fever. So in familial Mediterranean fever, there is A or apyrin. And in familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy. So in familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy, there is accumulation of ATTR, but there is mutant transthyretin. Okay, mutant transthyretin. And there is, after that, there is senile cardiac amyloidosis. So in senile cardiac amyloidosis, there is accumulation of ATTR but normal, not mutant. So it is very important. And then we have chronic renal failure and long-term dialysis. So in chronic renal failure and long-term dialysis, there is accumulation of A beta 2M. Then we have prion disease. So in prion disease, there is accumulation of APR. Then we have diabetes mellitus. So in diabetes mellitus, there is accumulation of AIAPP. Then medullary carcinoma of thyroid, there is accumulation of ACOL. And then we have Alzheimer disease. So in Alzheimer disease, accumulation of alpha beta. So it is very important table. And then we comes to diagnosis of amyloid, means accumulation of abnormal protein. So how we will diagnose? So for diagnosis, we will do biopsy. Okay, so biopsy. So it is there is very important. We should know biopsy site, means from which site we will take tissue. So if there is localized, accumulation of amyloid, so we will take from means biopsy taken from that tissue. Means if you have thyroid cancer, means medullary cancer of thyroid, so we will take tissue from our thyroid gland. And if generalize, so there is tissue, we will take tissue from abdomen fat pad tissue. It is based, means based. And also we can take from rectal, but it is not based as painful and invasive. Okay. Also we can take from gingival. So usually it's seen in macroglosia seen there is. So there is based, take tissue from abdomen fat pad tissue. It is based. Do remember, friends, in generalized amyloidosis, based taken from abdomen fat pad tissue. And then for diagnosis, there is also some, can do Congo red stain. In the starting of video, I tell you Congo red stain. So in Congo red stain, it gives salmon pink color. Congo red stone gives salmon pink color. Okay, but under the polarized, if you will see under the polarized lens, so there will be, see, apple green birefringing scene. So we will do Congo red stain. Okay, so in Congo red stain, it will give salmon pink, it will give salmon pink color. Okay, but if you will see under the polarized lens, so in polarized lens, it will see it will look like apple green. It will look like apple green by fringes seen. Okay, apple green by fringes. Okay. Then we have some important MCQ that is directly asked in last INSCT 2021, and also previous year INSCT exam, and also NEET PG exam. So it is very important MCQ. So there is first one, is most common biopsy site for amyloidosis. There is, if there is generalized, so we will take biopsy from abdomen fat pad. Okay. Then second MCQ is best stain for amyloid. Okay, so there is best stain. Before I tell you, Congo red. Okay, then third one, there is gross stain for amyloid. Gross stain for amyloid is Lugol's iodine and sulfuric acid. So friend, do remember, it is very important from exam point of view. Most common biopsy site is abdomen fat pad. Best stain for amyloidosis Congo red stain. इन Congo red stain कैसे दिखता है आपको पता ही है, वीडियो में बताया था. And then gross stain for amyloid, there is Lugol's iodine sulfuric acid. Then there is also some important MCQ. Fourth one is most common organ affected. means most common organ affected in amyloidosis. It is a kidney. Okay. Then fifth one is most common cause of death. Most common cause of death in primary amyloidosis. Okay, so cardiac failure. Do remember, friends, it is very important. Most common cause of death in primary amyloidosis, cardiac failure. Okay, then we have sixth one is most common cause of death in secondary amyloidosis. Okay, so there will renal failure. Friend, do remember, there is in primary cardiac failure and in secondary renal failure. Then seventh MCQ is liver first parts affected early. Okay, means in liver which part is first affected in amyloidosis? So there is a space of DISC. Okay, a space of DISC will be first affected. It is also very important. And then last one is a spleen. So in a spleen appearance, if there is amyloidosis, means abnormal protein accumulation in a spleen, so how a spleen will appear? So a spleen will appear sago spleen. सागो, फ्रेंड्स आप लोगों को पता होगा साबूदाना, सो साबूदाना से आपको सागो याद रखना है. मैं यहाँ पे इमेज ऐड कर दूंगा, आप इमेज देख लेना. यू कैन सी इन इमेज सागो स्प्लीन एंड ऑल्सो लुक लाइक लार्डोसियस स्प्लीन. Means if there is involvement of white pulp, as we know in spleen there is red pulp and white pulp, red pulp and white pulp. So if there is involvement of white pulps, so a spleen will be look like sago spleen, and if there is involvement of red pulp, so a spleen will look like Lardosius spleen. So this is our amyloidosis, very important topic from exam point of view. So do remember, friends, and this chart is very important from exam point of view. So we know in primary amyloidosis there is most common cause death of heart failure, and in secondary there is most common cause death of renal failure. So do remember, it is a very important MCQ from exam point of view. So thank you. Do subscribe my channel and like.